Welcome to my live market meeting. 16th September 2020. I am Sagar Nandi. I used to work in IT. I have retired now. I am swing trading stocks using the Q trading systems and techniques. This is my traders forum, sagarnandi.com. You may also access it at superiorprofit.co. My email ID tradingprofitably@gmail.com. YouTube channel Trading Profitably and Twitter handle Sagar Nandi. I regularly share live stock and market analysis on these channels. They are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Okay, Rick. Hi, Rick. I hope you can hear me. Let me see why the screen is not coming up. I hope it is okay now. Let me continue. Disclaimer: I am not an investment advisor. This demonstration is for educational purposes only. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. This is a live session. I have not prepared for it. Together we'll look at the market using technical analysis, for which I will use Q Elite running on TradeStation, Q Global and Finder running on Metastock, Q Vital for fundamental analysis, Q Edge for sector industry rotation analysis, and Q Index for market level index analysis. That was the last slide of my presentation. Let me continue with the live system. Let's start with global markets, starting with Australian index AXJO. As I tend to do, I open the instrument quickly using the default chart template, and then I have set up all the different chart templates on the menu bar. I click on the menu bar to open the default weekly daily chart template. This is Australian index AXJO. Earlier I mentioned it was moving inside a range, and it is still continuing to be inside the range. In the last webinar, I mentioned that if it comes down, then goes up again and starts to go down, that may give a low risk shorting opportunity. The weekly backdrop color is magenta. Therefore, if price can come down to the memory resistance and tilts down from there, giving a bearish flow candle, that may give a go with flow short setup. Right now there is no trade setup in Australian market. It is continuing to move sideways. As you remember, in several previous webinars, we saw that other than the India market, which was in an uptrend, all the other global markets were moving sideways. Let's see if that is true this week also. For Australian market, that is true. Now the Japanese market, it was inside a box. It came out of the box in last couple of days. However, there is a memory resistance in the weekly. I will not look for any buy setup right now. If it can go up little bit, then come down again and goes up, that may give a low risk buying opportunity. Right now it seems to break out of the box, but I'm not a fan of breakout trade, so I will not try to take any long trade right now. Another reason I will not try to take long trade right now is because there is a weekly memory resistance. We may say it is still moving inside a box. Chinese market, CSI 300 index. Again, it is moving inside a range. No trade signal right now. India market, Nifty 50 index. It was in an uptrend, the only global market that was in an uptrend, and it is continuing to be in an uptrend. As I have explained many times, these memory automatically drawn smart trend lines provide excellent support. Therefore, when you see price try to go below memory trend line and recover, those tend to give very low risk buying opportunities. It happened for 2 successive weeks. The actual trade entry might be done using the daily chart. Therefore, you might start to look for buying opportunities on one of these 2 days. You might not take a long position in Nifty 50 itself, but look into the Indian market, find out fundamentally strong stocks that were also in strong or accelerating industries. I think on one of these 2 days, you would find lucrative buying opportunities in the Indian market in the long direction. Now it has gone up already for 6 days. The traffic light color is already green for 5 days. That is a bit extended for swing trading purpose. Therefore, I will not suggest taking any long trade right now. Not on Nifty 50. There may be buying opportunities in individual industries, of course, industries that are gaining strength. Those may give always buying opportunities, even if it is a bit late for the Nifty 50 itself. The last global market index that we study is the UK index FTSE, also moving inside a range. Therefore, the observation that we made that only Indian market is in an uptrend among the global markets, that is holding true, and that is holding true for many weeks now. USA market is of course in an uptrend. Let's look at the USA market using Q Elite running on TradeStation. Starting with S&P 500 ETF SPY. By the way, in TradeStation on which Q Elite runs, it is possible to have watermarks. I didn't use watermarks before. I used to look at the symbol and interval from the top left corner. Today I decided to put on the watermark, so it is easier for you to read the symbol and the interval that I am using. In the last webinar, that was during the weekend, I analyzed all the USA market ETFs and the leading stocks, the FANG stocks, and I mentioned that I was not going to short any instrument at that point. Why? Because though the market was bearish in the sense it fell for several days, it already fell for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in SPY with traffic light color red. That was true for the other market ETFs also, and several leading stocks and one market ETF, that was IWM, they were all at memory trendline support. I am always careful about shorting an instrument that has already dropped for 4, 5, 6 days with traffic light color red, and also careful about shorting instruments when the market or leading stocks had memory trendline support. That analysis was very useful. Since my weekend market roundup, we had 2 trading days, Monday, Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, pre-market hours. On both of those days, SPY went up. Is it a time to buy now? If you wanted to buy, you could buy on Friday's close. Not SPY itself, but fundamentally strong stocks that were at support. And these 2 days up move would have given significant profit in those stocks. That way you could look at the market being oversold, leading stocks being at trendline support, and decide to buy strong stocks. That is a very profitable technique if you can apply it effectively in a timely manner. How to add the watermark on the TradeStation charts? This is TradeStation 10. You may right click on any chart, go to setting window. That was a question I see in the Zoom chat from Rick. And you come to this watermark and enable it. If you enable, then it will show the instrument and the interval. It will show the name also. Coming back to the market ETFs, this was SPY. Let's look at QQQ. QQQ also has a similar pattern. The weekly is continuing to be in bearish color, and in daily it recovered for 2 days. In pre-market hours, it is up again by 0.49%. Dia has a very similar picture, and here the weekly color changed to neutral. However, the shape is indecisive. And IWM, which had a memory support, or was it Dia that had a memory support? Let me change to the historical memory lines template. Okay, I made a mistake. IWM didn't have a memory support during the weekend webinar. It was Dia. Dia had a memory support, and the support is still there. Back to IWM, and I am using the hotkeys to change the chart template. IWM has a similar picture. Here also the weekly backdrop color changed to neutral. Therefore, we have these 4 ETFs now. Out of them, SPY and QQQ are continuing to be in bearish backdrop color in the weekly chart. Dia and IWM backdrop color changed to neutral. However, we have to keep in mind that only 2 days has passed. We still have few more days to go before the weekends. If IWM could go up to the memory resistance line, then you might look for a very lucrative and very low risk shorting opportunity using fine-tuned chart. I mentioned earlier I could take such a short trade on this day. Why don't I align the daily and 5-minute chart and explain how I took it? And it is a very simple technique using the real-time pivot charts on fine-tuned template. I'm going to align the dates, go to the single chart template, it was here. So let me draw a vertical line, and I'm going to look at only the regular session. Where did it go? Let me do it one more time. Here. So at this point, IWM was right at the daily memory trendline support. And now we are looking at 5-minute fine-tune chart. Looking at the memory trendline support in the higher interval, that is daily, you could look for a shorting opportunity using fine-tune chart. Next day, market opened and the early range high and early range low pivot lines were drawn automatically. And then at this point, price broke down decisively below early range low, and the early range was very narrow. The stop would be just above early range high, because I can see the previous day's close. The magenta pivot is very near. You could put the stop just above the magenta pivot as well. So this would be the risk distance. Then price fell sharply. By the time price came to this red pivot line, the risk distance was covered. So you could book partial profit at that time itself, and either you could apply trailing stop or close the remaining position at the end of the day. That would be a day trade using 5-minute fine-tune chart, where the bearish direction was decided looking at the memory trendline resistance in the daily chart. There was no swing short setup on IWM, therefore you might not want to hold on to the remaining position. But if you did, you could hold on to partial position in different ways. One technique would be to close the IWM short position, the full position with profit, and use part of the profit to buy a put options. And that is a technique that allows you to try to increase profit while making the trade entirely risk-free. And subsequently, IWM dropped more over next few days. We can see from the daily chart, your short entry would have been at the very high of this long bearish candle, and after that price fell until Friday. Therefore, your risk was minuscule relative to the reward that you could get, at least on the remaining position. Partial position we would have booked on the entry day itself, because it was designed to be a day trade. The same technique you may apply if you see IWM is coming to the memory resistance lines. Many of the memories are there and starts to drop from there. If that happens, you may look for a shorting opportunity. What about the leading stocks? See the weekly percentage changes of the leading stocks. The week is not over yet. Tesla has already gone up by 20.6% this week. Apple 3.1%. All the leading stocks have gone up, and yesterday also the stocks went up by large percentage. Tesla is again the winner, went up by 7.1% yesterday. Is there any buy setup in any of these stocks? Probably no. We could quickly look at them. Tesla, recovered. I mentioned last time it looks like the next up move would be coming in the weekly market roundup. That happened. There was no bullish trade setup. No trade setup right now also. Netflix. This was the weakest probably of the FANG stocks. Why? Because it could break below memory trendline support. There was no short trade setup. Now price has gone up and it is hitting the memory support from below. If in the daily price could go up little bit more and then tilt down again, that may give a low risk shorting opportunity if all the checklist conditions for go with flow short setup are met. Right now, no Q trade setup is there. Facebook didn't go up much. However, it is near memory support. Therefore, even if price comes down, it will be difficult to short. Memory trendline support is there both in weekly and daily. Continuing to be in an uptrend. All the leading stocks were in an uptrend except probably Netflix. No, Netflix was erratic. Higher high came down. You could say in an uptrend or sideways range. Tesla, I mentioned that in spite of the pullback, it was still in an uptrend. And Facebook in an uptrend with memory support weekly and daily. Google also in an uptrend. We don't have lower high, lower low yet. Apple also in an uptrend. Amazon also in an uptrend. Uptrend, or you may say inside a range, but it is not in a downtrend. None of the leading stocks are in a downtrend. And the market ETFs are also not in a downtrend. The weakest being still IWM, because IWM continues to be the only one market ETF that has memory resistance both in weekly and daily. And this was in a downtrend in a way because lower high and lower low. So of all the market ETFs, all the leading stocks, the easiest shorting opportunity, probably the higher probability to shorting opportunity, will come in IWM. It can go up little bit. Either it can hit the memory resistance and go down, or even before hitting memory resistance, it may start to go down and give a go with flow short setup. There is no easy shorting opportunity in any of the market ETFs or the leading stocks. What is the market view now? It is not clear. When the market ETFs and leading stocks are not giving any trade setup, no Q trade setup, it is probably not the best time to take trades in individual stocks. Another reason not to take trades today is because at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Fed meeting result will come out. The Fed funds target rate will be announced. Central Bank is meeting since yesterday. They will announce the rate decision at 2 p.m. Even if the market goes up or down in the morning session, it may not, but it may reverse in the afternoon session after the rate announcement. Therefore, it is safer not to take any new trade today. The trades that you or I took already, we had a plan when we took the trades. So we will simply follow that plan. By the way, you see another powerful feature of Zenith, that is Refinitiv. When an event is coming, so this retail sales economic data is going to be out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can see the countdown has started from 5 minutes before that. It will count down to 0, and this is probably the fastest way you can get to know the economic data results. Not that you can trade based on that, because this is 8:30 a.m. the market will not be open at that time, and also Q traders don't rely on the economic events to take trades. They may use the economic events to wait, but they don't decide trades based on economic events. The trades are decided by 360 degrees or top-down or bottom-up analysis. In any case, because of the 2 p.m. important event today, I may not take any swing trade in the morning session. You may do the same. Market view is indecisive for swing trading. Let's look at Finder. Finder is a way to look at the balance between bears and bulls using all the important Q signals. This is the weekly Finder picture. The week is not complete yet. So far, the weekly picture is bullish. All signals are bullish. 81% of the signals are bullish. 96% of the strength signals are bullish. 83% of the continuation signals are also bullish. Reversal signals are balanced between bears and bulls. Weekly, again the week is not complete yet, is looking bullish, and last week this picture was very bearish. I shared that in the market roundup, weekend market roundup, that was very bearish, and now it is turning bullish. What about the daily picture? Yesterday's picture is balanced to bearish. If you look at the reversal signals, it is bearish. 83% of the signals were bearish yesterday, reversal. The other signals, okay, not others, all signals are balanced, continuation signals are balanced, strength signals are bullish. What does it tell? It tells that in the beginning, market opened higher. You can see lot of gap up opens yesterday, and then a lot of reversals. You could figure that out from the pie charts. In the morning session, it was strong, but then it pulled back. This turn around was shown on Q edge also. If you used Q edge during market hours near the open, you would find these pie charts to be very bullish in the morning, and this is how it ended yesterday, closed yesterday. It is balanced. That showed that stocks and ETFs also were turning around from up move to down move on intraday time frame, and that picture is also, that insight is visible from the contrast of the strength signals that were bullish, however reversal signals that were bearish. If we look at the intraday chart, this is 10-minute chart of the 4 market ETFs. I was watching all the instruments. In the morning session, I would use 5-minute interval. Now I am using 10 minutes so that all the symbols, 4 symbols, can be fit into my monitor screen. You can see how the prices were moving. Moving relative to the fine-tuned pivot lines. IWM and DIA broke below early range low first. QQQ didn't break decisively at that point, and SPY also didn't break decisively at that point. After breaking, IWM recovered sharply, but DIA couldn't. DIA hit the early range low and started to come down again. Looking at that, if you were looking for a day trade in the market using futures or ETFs, you would choose DIA. Could you take it as an early range breakout trade? I wouldn't do that because the stop would be very far, because this candle had a sharp drop, this 10-minute candle. We could of course go back to 5-minute and see how it looked like on the 5-minute chart. Let's do that. I'm going to do that only for dia and IWM. On 5-minute chart also it dropped sharply. Therefore the stop would be far away. In that case it is better to wait for a pullback. And when it pulled back, dia couldn't go below early range low, but IWM could. Therefore you would choose dia for shorting and you could short it on this candle. If you short at this point, you could put the stop above this high or maybe above a pivot line high, or you could put the stop above early range high as well, depending on whether you are using ETFs or futures. Futures are high leverage instruments. You may put narrower stop if you are trading futures, but narrower doesn't mean it is arbitrarily close to a candle's high. It is safer to keep it above one of the pivot levels. So in this case that would be this pivot level. Coming back to the 10-minute interval, dia had a continued drop throughout the day. IWM was erratic, later it dropped, and QQQ didn't drop much, didn't go below previous day's high. This green pivot is previous day's high. It never went below previous day's high. So it had a gap up open and the gap remained. Maybe it was just touched, barely touched. So gap closed, but again it went up. And SPY was holding strong for a long time. Later it came down, but closed significantly higher than previous day's close. Same for QQQ, significantly higher than previous day's close. dia closed right at previous day's close, and IWM touched previous day's close, turned negative also, and then recovered somewhat. So in this picture we can see that dia was the weakest yesterday and IWM was next, SPY third, and no surprise, tech stocks were the strongest. And one reason that tech stocks were holding onto its gain so well was because the leading stocks, they went up strongly. We may not take any swing trade in the morning session, but let's analyze the market using top-down analysis. Let's start with QH. In the Indian market, I noticed one trader was chatting with me. I noticed the steel industry was strong. Let's see here for the USA market, materials was not that strong yesterday. Real estate was strong. Both yesterday and over 2-day periods, real estate seems to be the strongest. So why don't we drill down into real estate? And I might have taken a position in one of the real estate stocks recently. Let's see if I can find it from here. These are the sectors. If I sort by 1-day period, real estate is now the strongest. Why am I more interested in buying in real estate? Is because earlier it was very weak. Then it was starting to gain strength over 2 days, and yesterday it became the strongest sector, and we can see it is having acceleration also. The pace columns show acceleration using cyan color, deceleration using magenta color. In any case, from the scorecard also we can see it is improving nicely. The scorecard shows relative strength and uses the magenta cyan color scheme. If we want to know the actual percentage change, whether it actually went up or not at the sector level, we can find that out from sector percentage tab. Again, I'm sorting by 1-day performance, and it went up yesterday by more than 1%, the only sector to go up yesterday by more than 1%. So let's drill down into the industries in real estate sector, and I prefer to use the scorecard. The heat map is very useful. It instantly shows which of the real estate industries are strongest. You can see the lower ones are not strong. They are in magenta color. I sorted it to keep the best performing ones at the top. And if we look to the right, they were weak earlier. So they are turnaround candidates also at the industry level. You may highlight multiple rows in this way and click the peer analysis button. That will take us to the stock scorecard, stocks for all these industries. Because the industries and the sector was weak for a long time, I'm quite sure we'll find undervalued stocks. For that, I will use this button. But let me first try to find stocks that are undervalued as well as having earnings growth. Not sure if we find them. I can see some, but let's click the button. We have now only 4 stocks in S&P 1500 that are undervalued with high earnings growth, and they are all in real estate sector. The industries are the strongest industries in real estate sector, and 3 of them went up by significant percentage. Even the 4th one also went up. So let's look at all of them. I'm going to highlight them, and to transfer them to Q Elite, I'm going to click the grid icon to take it to TradeStation's radar. Come to sonar that is implemented using radar and paste the symbols using Ctrl V. Remember KIM, I discussed it earlier. You can see even before going to the chart that 3 of them gave a breakout yesterday, breakout from memory resistance. However, BXP is touching another memory resistance. So 3 broke out from memory resistance, one has another memory resistance touching that. So I may be more interested to look at the first 2. Out of the first 2, one has U-turn and bullish pressure. That may be a reason to look at that first, or you could choose the second one which had a bullish flow and coming out of a squeeze. From the direction column, we can see that the last 3 stocks were in a downtrend, meaning price was below both yellow as well as white direction line, and the first one is in between white and yellow direction lines. So none of them are very strong, in the sense none of them are above both yellow and white direction lines. KIM is near upper boundary, that is shown by the boundary cell being in green. Relative performance shows that all of them outperformed the market yesterday. None of their option prices are high. Option volatility is either low for the second one or in the middle for the other 3. Let's look at AKR first then. I am clicking the symbol that will take the chart to the standard weekly daily at a glance template. This is creating a nice base. Earlier from this low, it made a higher high in the weekly chart. I always like pullbacks. It pulled back. This was the earnings week. Since then it is not going up but holding on to the price level. This week's candle shape and color both are bullish. The shape is very bullish. It broke above the memory resistance. That is significant. In the daily, it created a false downside breakout. False breakout below the watermark support lines but recovered above them. It cleared one memory resistance in daily, but there is another memory resistance. It has bullish pressure for 2 successive days. If you wanted to take an early entry, you could take it on Monday using the bull release signal, using the bullish pressure U-turn. This bull release again, and the fact that it was at price extreme low and reversing. How can you know that? You know that because it was at bright green from there. Sorry, not bright green. How can that be green? It was in bright red. From there it became dark red. So we know from that price was at extreme low and starting to reverse. You could take a trade in anticipation. It's not the Q technique because Q technique would suggest not to take a trade until price broke out of the memory resistance. That happened yesterday. However, there is another memory resistance. Therefore, there was no perfect Q trade setup if you combine the weekly daily. The weekly is looking strong. Of course, the week is not complete yet. The sector is strong, industry is strong, fundamentals are very strong. So you could keep an eye on a stock like that and try to make an early entry, maybe partial position. Or you could wait for a proper Q trade setup, meaning let price break out of the memory resistance. If you are making an entry in anticipation, I suggest not to enter your usual full position because we are taking additional risk. It is important to mitigate that by taking smaller size. So that mitigates the risk of entering in anticipation. That was AKR. Let's look at the other stocks. Kim. This has broken out. Nice, isn't it? Remember, I discussed Kim a while ago. We already knew from that discussion. That's why I say that Q traders tend to know the fundamentally strong stocks because they are looking at the stocks every day using that smart filter, the 3-star buying candidate. So we know Kim is strong. So yesterday when it was breaking out, you knew it was strong. Or day before yesterday when it gave a bullish flow with bull release signal, you knew it was strong. You could make an early entry day before yesterday, or you could take a breakout entry yesterday. Near market close yesterday, I wouldn't buy Kim because it closed with an upper tail. Instead, I could look for a breakout trade today using fine-tune chart. Again, I'm not a fan of breakout trades, but those who like breakout trades, I think this is giving a nice setup. It was inside a triangle or wedge, whatever you may call it. The daily had a wedge, weekly had a memory support. Weekly already broke out of memory resistance and it went up with bullish pressure and U-turn for 2 successive days. So it is looking good for breakout traders. Fundamentals are strong. Interestingly, this bullish headwind could catch the very low. What was the best time to buy this stock? Probably on this day. That is when after bullish headwind price goes up, pulls back and gives a bullish flow candle. Those usually turn out pretty high probability trades. Of course, we would also look at industry and sector and fundamentals at that time. Technically, the first bullish flow candle after a bullish headwind that led to a price move up tends to be a low risk buying opportunity. Let's look at some more stocks from the list. BXP. It has touched a memory resistance broken out of one. Let's look at that. Broke out of this memory resistance but touched another one. There are several memory resistance nearby. So out of the three stocks we saw so far, this is the least attractive, BXP. And now isn't it very easy to look at the stock symbol and the name from the watermark? This is a great feature of TraceStation 10.0. The last stock didn't go up by so much percentage. By the way, in QSonar, we change the colors when significant moves happen. In the change since open, change from close to close, also the gap open percentage move. So looking at those colors, you can instantly focus on the strongest stocks. OPI didn't go up so much, that's why the color is not in green, but it still went up. Let's look at the stock OPI. Office properties. Not viable right now because it has memory resistance. It is in a clear downtrend. So the two interesting stocks that I found are AKR, but it is not perfect. It has not broken out yet, and KIM, KIM, Kimco Realty Corp, that broke out nicely. I took a long position in a real estate stock, but it is not in this list. Not in S&P 1500. Let's try to find out from stock universe. So I have created stock universe for mid price stocks, low price stocks. I have added a high price stocks also, though I may not trade high price stocks so much. I'm not going to trade Amazon, certainly too expensive for me. In any case, I have created the lists. Let us focus on the mid price stocks. This list has 1527 stocks. Let me look at their scorecard and try to find the stock that I bought. It is going to Refinitiv, retrieving data about all these 1527 stocks, and then it will calculate the scorecard. Let's give it a few seconds. Updated. Let's look at the star candidates and let me look at real estate sector. Maybe not in this list also. Never mind. Whether you are using S&P 1500 as your symbol universe or you have other universes like I have set up, you may look for best fundamental stocks easily. Here I looked for 3-star candidates. If I change it to 1 star, let me refresh the data. 1 star, that is going to look for either undervalued or high growth stocks. And let me look for only real estate sector. You can see there are many stocks that went up yesterday. Let's look at the stocks that went up by more than 3%. I'm trying to find out which stock did I buy. is there on another desktop, but never mind. This is not about my trades. This session is to explain how to find strong fundamental stocks in strong industries that are going up. KIM, AKR, BXP, OPI. No. Let me click the grid icon first. Come back to Sonar, paste them. Let's look at them. BPYU has a memory resistance, so not going to buy now. That is why sometimes I prefer to use Q Global. I don't have to go back and forth between the Sonar and the charts. What I do, I go to my stocks that I want to open and click the chart icon. That will open all the charts together, and instead of going back and forth between radar and chart, doesn't matter with the same terminal or not, I can just keep my cursor at the top, close window, and if I don't see a buying opportunity, I close. So this is UE moving sideways, going to close it. This one is looking good. It is nicely breaking out with high pressure, so I'm not going to close it. Press Ctrl Tab to go to the next stock. I'll come back to CUZ, Cousins Properties. I'll come back to it and look at it using weekly daily. AKR has memory resistance. Going to close it. This one is looking good. Simon Property Group. Very nice support. Long base it is forming. So I'm keeping it. Press Ctrl Tab. KIM. This gave a breakout setup. We already saw it. Closed it. SLG broke out of one memory resistance. Has another. I'm going to close it. RDFN. Too high in the price pattern. The optimal point to buy would be here when it gave a go with flow long trade setup. Maybe here. Now it is too high in the price pattern. Let's close it. BPYU has memory resistance. I'm going to close it. So I'm left with CUZ and SPG. SPG is creating a very long base, and CUZ is starting to go up, broke out of a memory resistance. Let's look at CUZ first, and I have all the chart templates at the top. Let's look at weekly daily, the template that allows us to check all the trade setups, all the 4 standard trade setups we have. This is looking strong both in weekly and daily. It has bullish pressure for 2 days, outperforming the market. Had a bullish flow one day earlier, and yesterday it broke out. However, there is another memory resistance nearby. Let's look at the other one. That was Simon Property Group, SPG. This is a lower risk entry in my opinion. It is creating a long base. Of course, the traders are of different styles. Some traders like to buy a stock after it has made a move, maybe created a base at that higher price level and then breaking out again. Some other traders may like to buy only after price goes above the white direction line. It is already above the yellow direction line. They may wait for price to go above white direction, pull back and go up again. And some other traders are comfortable trading all the styles. Both the styles that I described plus a style where one may look for a stock creating a nice base. And one explanation of this nice base is some people are buying the stock. They may enter early, and when it makes the move, if it does, goes above white direction line, by that time they already will have significant profit and their risk is also low. We can see it was at price extreme low earlier, so this is a stock that is going up from price extreme low with good fundamentals. Let's check the fundamentals again. SPG. Let's carry out a complete peer analysis. I'm using QVital SPG as the root stock, looking for stocks in same or similar industries using this peer relationship filter. We already know the industry is strong, but we may check it again by clicking the cog icon. That will take us to the industry scorecard in QH. The industry is strong, very nicely strengthening. It's a turnaround candidate, possible turnaround industry. And going back to QVital, this stock has excellent valuation. Robust earnings quality. Simon's Property Group is a well-known stock, has a short squeeze potential. Earnings growth is not high, that is expected. Yesterday, the industry was very strong. 82% of the 66 peer stocks went up. So fundamentals are good, industry is good. It is creating a base, and also the stock is paying very nice dividend, 7.3%. This is a buying candidate in terms of dividend also. Before I end today's session, let me show you one stock. This is a higher growth stock. Let's look at it. It's Purple, PRPL, Purple Innovation in home furnishings industry. Let's check out the industry. The industry was improving, but over last 2 days and yesterday it weakened, and we can see the deceleration also. So this is not the best time in Q technique to buy the stock, but I came to the stock to show one thing. You could buy it when the industry was improving. If you look at the fundamentals, it is retrieving the fundamentals. Give it a minute. We may look at the chart meanwhile. PRPL. You can see it has made a strong up move from the recent low. And what happened at the recent low? Two bullish headwinds came one after another. On the first bullish headwind day, the candle shape was indecisive. Therefore, Q technique says not to take any long trade. Next day, price drop, no buying opportunity on that day, and very next day, the bullish headwind came again with a bull release signal. Candle shape was bullish, color was neutral. So in the daily chart, it met all the conditions for a bullish headwind long trade. If you were already watching Purple Innovation, or you knew about the stock, you learned about it, I don't know, maybe from IBD, maybe from HSI, you didn't have to wait for the price to recover so much before buying. How much did it recover from the closing price of the second bullish headwind day? It has recovered by 30%. And high growth traders, those who like to buy stocks after a stock has already gone up, they may be buying now. But Q traders, myself particularly, would prefer to buy at a lower price. So if you knew the stock was a buying candidate, you could use the bullish headwind, or as I mentioned, the first bullish flow after the bullish headwind. In this case, it didn't pull back. So this was not a go with flow long trade setup on this day. But if you were going to buy it anyway, instead of buying after it went up by 30%, you could buy on the first bullish flow day after bullish headwind, or on the bullish headwind day itself. Provided, of course, you saw the industry was improving at that time, which might be true, and also provided you knew the stock was fundamentally strong. And you can see this was a growth stock. It is a growth stock. very high growth in the latest quarter, very high growth in the last year also. It's overvalued, but that's fine. Q traders buy based on either valuation or growth, and this was an easy high growth stock. Why I came to this example is that high growth stock doesn't mean you have to buy always at a higher price level. Of course, you can do that using Q systems, but because you have very powerful reversal signals, if you knew it is a high growth stock and you knew that because the earnings was here, not here, so you already knew it was a high growth stock, you could use the headwind and the bullish flow to take a position early. And while others are talking about it now, you could probably be happy. I don't see any reason to exit the trade because it is moving up nicely. All the candle colors, traffic light colors in the daily are bullish. And if I change to the stop loss template using the Q protection signal, if you took the long position here, you could initially put stop using the protection signal below the buy candle at this point. This was your risk. Now the stop signal has already moved up. So if you are using trailing stop, you could keep on raising the trailing stop. Already you have covered more than risk distance. Looking bullish, no need to exit the stock. You could simply keep on moving trailing stop up and up using the Q protection signal. That is how, if you are trading high growth stocks, you don't have to take only breakouts. You could follow the high growth stocks. And how could you find the high growth stocks? There are many ways. Either you can use QH for S&P 1500 stocks, or for any other stock universe you could use Q Vital. Let me demonstrate by QH. In the stock tab, whether you are using your own universe or S&P 1500, you have all the stocks, and you may use these filters to very quickly find high growth stocks, or what a GSI users say, box stocks, or turnaround candidates, or earnings growth improving. All these green color buttons will give you box stocks or high growth stocks instantly. Let's close today's session here. Is at the 1 hour point. Remember that Fed rate decision is as 2 p.m. That was not the right slide to end this one. Fed rate decision is at 2 p.m. It may be risky to take a swing trade before that. Thanks a lot for joining. I look forward to seeing you again in my next session, which will be during the weekend sometime. This Wednesday session has fixed time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Weekend, I keep myself free. I may go somewhere. But during the weekend, sometime I will have the live market roundup. I'll announce the time using forum, email, and also on Twitter. Thank you once again. You have a good day. Keep safe and trade profitably. Thank you. Bye bye.